Hello everyone, I am Tacet and today I'm going to be going over the Silverglade Kingdom. It was a new kingdom that came out on PC and mobile last Friday. We ended up streaming a lot of content for it, but we never got around to a video. So that's what we are going to be doing now. So if we go into Silverglade Kingdom, its mastery is purple and it gives a magic bonus. The magic bonus, of course, you will get when you level up the kingdom to level 10. It is a very powerful bonus. There's currently only 5 kingdoms in the game that actually have it. Silverglade, Karkaroth, Zolkiri, Blighted Lands, and Darkstone all give you +1 magic to all of your troops when you get the kingdom to level 10. So what we're going to be doing in this video is going over some of the Silverglade troops, as well as going over a couple teams that I have been using with it. Of course, we did a bunch in the streams, but these are mainly just my favorite few. Anyways, let's just go down the line here and just go over my opinion on every single one of them. Elven Bard, one of the ones that I actually like from the new kingdom. It gives an ally 2 magic and gives them half of their mana. This, I believe, is rounded down, and it is based on their total mana. So it doesn't matter if she has 1 mana, 3 mana, 10 mana, 11 mana. It'll give it half of it, which in this case would be 5 additional mana. And then it enchants them. Enchant is a new status effect that was added when this new kingdom comes out. Any troop that is enchanted will gain 2 magic every single turn until it casts its ability. Casting its ability is the only way to actually remove the enchant. It is the second positive status effect in the game. Barrier is the first, and now we have enchant. So good that they're starting to add more of the positive ones. We have like a dozen different negative status effects, but this is only the second positive one, so maybe we'll get a couple more in the future. She has Elf Bond, Earhart, and Bless. Nothing particularly good in that regard. She's used mainly as a support troop to be able to get very high mana costing troops their mana. She's mainly used with things like legendaries and mythics, because that is what she can give the most mana to. Next up, we have the Enchantress, also something else that can enchant. It enchants a random ally and then deals damage to all enemies. One really nice thing, or one unfortunate thing about this actually, is it has a little bit of a weird scaling. It's not a 1-by-1. You can see that she has a magic spirit. This magic that she's gaining will not actually give her an additional damage per the magic. What it actually is for the formula is her magic divided by 2 plus 5 is her damage. So I guess they did that just so it wouldn't be as overpowered later in the game, and also still fairly powerful in the beginning of the game. So that's probably why they did that. You use her pretty much with any team that has a bunch of full AoE, anything that can hit all enemies. And speaking of things that can hit all enemies, we have Kristinax, the new legendary from the kingdom. A lot of people probably still don't have this. You'll easily be able to get it from event keys when the event switches over in about like 6 hours or so from when this video gets out on this Monday. But yeah, when the event switches over, definitely make sure to use your event keys and try to get this. This is one of my favorite dragons, and definitely my favorite troop from what came from this kingdom. Anyways, as far as its ability, deals damage to all enemies, boosted by a chosen color, and then it removes that color, and it boosts based on a 2-to-1 ratio, so it can get a lot of extra damage from removing gems. If it removes something like 10 gems, it's going to be an additional 5 damage, and since it hits all enemies, that's technically like an additional 20 damage, because of course you're hitting all enemies, so if they have 4, you're doing that damage to every single one of them. And on top of all of that, even though that's already a good ability on its own, it also has more attacks, which is summon a Silver Draken. Which we'll go to right after we go to his traits. He has a few pretty good traits. Stone Skin and Crystallize are his main 2. Stone Skin, of course, is 50% scroll reduction. Crystallize, it gains Enchant, which means 2 mana per turn whenever it ends up taking a purple gem, which is pretty good because a lot of dragons tend to utilize purple. Things such as Shadow Dragon and Dragon Soul both are pretty good examples of that. And it has a flying trait. Normally, most of the single imperviouses aren't too useful, though given that you will normally use this troop in first or second slot due to the Stone Skin, makes it somewhat useful if you find yourself that you're up against an entangle. You will, of course, not get entangled. So let's go over to Silver Draken before we go over the epic for the kingdom. Deals damage to the first enemy and then freezes them, and if it has a greater magic, it will then create 8 blue, or if the enemy's magic is greater, that is. So you would normally want to have the Silver Drake at a lower magic. It's actually a little bit better to not level him them up that much. The main reason I'm doing that is because we're only going to be getting 1 additional troop this Monday for the event, which means it'll be the minimum of 8. And whenever a troop only has 8, or whenever a kingdom, I mean, only has 8, unfortunately, we have to get every single troop in the kingdom fully upgraded, fully traded, if we actually want to get that extra 5 stars. But of course, it'll have more troops in the future that will make it easier to get 5 stars. But as of this week and next week, and probably for a month or two, it probably won't be getting another troop. But anyways, as far as its ability, it is actually pretty solid for a common. Even without that 8 blue generation, it's just being able to deal damage to the first troop and then freeze them is pretty good. Of course, normally, similar to Entangle, it's almost most instances best to have the first troop of the enemy team frozen, if you could have any of them frozen. The main reason for that is because it also freezes skulls for them, so you won't be able to get skull spammed, or if you do, you will only last 1 turn. As far as traits, it's nothing special as it is a common. Just Dragon Bond, immune to freeze, and a Water Link that'll help with the Kristanex to be able to get that blue up. Princess Elspeth now is a very, very interesting troop. More towards the weaker side, but she has a very few niche things that she can do. One of them that I'm probably going to show a little bit later in the week that someone was talking to me about. But I definitely will be showing her team right now with her. There's a lot of potential for her when this game develops. When more commons come into the game and more single colors come into the game, she's going to have infinitely more uses. But what she does is creates 11 of a chosen ally's mana color and then kills them. Keep in mind that there's only a chosen ally, you don't actually get to choose the color. For example, if you did it on a enchantress, it would do either purple or yellow. You do not get to choose that. But if you did it to something that only has 1 color, like a silver draken, it would always do purple every single time. So keep that in mind with the Princess Elspeth. And then it summons a random knight. This is mainly going to be useful because there are quite a few decent things that you can sacrifice with this. The 2 main ones is you can do a brown to fill up Bombot, and you can do a purple to kill out Sacrifice, which of course Sacrifice has something that will trigger when you actually kill an ally, so you can use her in that regard. Other than that, she really doesn't have any good abilities except for her Empowered, which is what really makes this have potential in the future, and a few uses right now. The fact that she can do this from the very first turn, and if you get lucky enough, can have quite a devastating board control, being able to do 11 gem spawn right from the beginning. Of course, we had the Siren already that could do 9, but with the Siren, you never really got to choose what color it is, whereas Princess Elspeth, all you have to do is put a single color troop on your team, and then boom, from the very first turn, you just got an 11 gem spawn. So a lot of interesting purposes for her. Swordmaster won't be seeing too much later in the game. Towards early and maybe mid-game, you might be able to use him pretty well. What he does is deal damage to the first enemy, and that's boosted by the enemy's mana cost. So very good against legendaries and mythics, as they tend to have a higher mana cost. Unfortunately, it's only a 1-to-1 ratio though, so even against mythics, it's only going to be hitting in the mid 40s or high 30s. So not a devastatingly high damage, but he may have some uses within all knight teams. One odd thing though, he does have Knight Bond, Elf Bond, and Armored, kind of like as if he's a knight, but he doesn't actually count as a knight. I don't know if they'll add that in the future. I think they could definitely add that to him. He looks like a knight. Make him a knight. And other than that, Unicorn. Unfortunately, Unicorn is basically the only absolutely useless troop from this kingdom. Well, I wouldn't say absolutely useless, but it's one of them that basically will not be used. You're better off using a Lady or Anariel in every single instance compared to it. All it does is cleanse, enchant, and give an ally life. Unless there's ever something that comes into this game that's really good based on boosting on life, then there really won't be until then, there really won't be a use for a Unicorn. The best thing you could possibly use it on right now would be a Bull Taurus, which even in that case, you're better off just going with a Rowan and a completely different team. It does have Arcane, so you will be able to get a pretty big magic buff as the game progresses. Other than that, there really isn't any use that you'll have for Lady or Anariel. You'll pretty much always use as a substitute to her. If we go to Lady or Anariel, it creates 8 blue and 8 green, and then gives all ally a bunch of life at basically the same exact amount or even higher than that of the Unicorn, except to everyone on your team. So overall, Lady Anariel much better than the Unicorn. All other troops definitely have their purposes, though, from that kingdom. So let's go now and show a few teams. We have 3 different ones that we're going to be doing here. We might as well start with this one that's already up right now. We are going to be using Gorgotha, Kristanex, and the Dragon Soul with a Elven Bard. This team is made to basically always have full mana on essentially the entire team. Of course, whenever using a Kristanex, especially a Kristanex with a Dragon Soul, if there are purple available, we will always want to go for that purple. He'll get a skull here. Hopefully we will not get a instant kill off that death mark. Good. This is actually the second time I am recording this, mainly because there was a error with the recording the previous time. It wasn't from the intro or anything like that. It was just the film didn't want to go. The recording software, I don't know why. But anyways, we'll try getting the rest of our Dragon Soul mana. That is our main focus that we are going for right now. It's pretty much any Dragon Soul team that tends to be your main focus. Of course, I do have to go for some Gorgotha mana because there isn't any alternative currently on the board. I'm going to let him Deathmark us again. Hopefully, he will not Deathmark kill us this turn. Please don't. Okay, really good. We'll be able to cast that and cleanse off both that freeze and the death mark. We'll get the extra turn, and now we can start casting away. So right here, we will go for the green. Of course, that does damage to all of them. We'll get a nice little bit of poking right there, and he'll place that death mark back. A little bit annoying, but we should be able to get our bard up right here, and we do. So we'll be able to use that to get up either of these 2 manas. Doesn't matter which, we can just choose. Of course, we could use a Gorgotha instead. Never mind. Yeah, that's why we have the Enchantress here. That is exactly why we have the Enchantress. Though, in this situation, I'm actually not, because we do have the double purple. We'll be able to do that, get our mana, and get the Crystallize. So, actually won't be needing the Enchantress in this instance. But now, oh no, good, it didn't end up doing a mana drain. Okay, so now we still won't be needing her. I normally just keep her as a backup in case we don't have the mana, just to make sure that if we ever need it, we'll be able to get that little bit of magic buff, plus we'll be able to get the last of that mana that we need to be able to cast a devastating ability. So we'll just keep poking. Right now would probably be a time that I would use it on it. Also, if we didn't have these red right here, I might even consider using it on a Dragon Soul, but instead we will go for these reds. I'll probably enchant it and then use a Dragon Soul. He'll just take those skulls, so I'm not too worried about that. We'll just go for the enchant. The Dragon Soul will easily be able to get the rest of that thing's mana, and we can just kind of go from there. So there we go, get the explosion, and now we have that ability up. Of course, the enchant wears off the second that we actually cast this ability, so unfortunately we won't have that on it forever. But we'll be able to use that next turn if there isn't an available take on a Dragon Soul. Though, if we can, we'd ideally want to do it on a purple. Speaking of purple, we can make a little Drake right there. And there we go. We have a little bit of a tank to help us out. And it'll be able to soak all of the skull damage or whatever he's about to do right now. So we weren't able to use Enchantress too well, though that little bit of summon did help some. Of course, right now, if we were to go into this, I'd probably use, or if this battle was still going on, I'd probably use another enchant on there, Dragon Soul, just kind of keep looping it from there. But all we gotta do is just cast it out, kill it already, and go on to the next team. Since we were already using the Drake and kind of going with the Dragon theme, we can go with an all Dragon team as well. It's actually probably my favorite team these days to actually be using is a all Dragon team with the new Kristanex. So we'll go use that against a Humility double Kristanex. How fitting, we'll actually get to see that. I surprisingly only have one Kristanex right now. It took me a lot of keys. If you saw it during stream, it took us 10,000 glory keys, 50 VIP keys, and 350 or so gem keys. So a lot of resources. Very unlucky with it, though you can easily obtain it this Monday from event keys, so definitely make sure to do that. Of course, from about 6 hours after this video is about when you'll be able to get that. But we'll go take the red. He'll do whatever he wants to do. Go for purple, get that crystallized if it wasn't already there, which I don't believe it was. And then we'll just be able to Dragon Soul the rest of the mana and go from there. You could switch the Celastasia and the Kristanex if you wanted to. That would be able to utilize the summon. I normally do it in reverse order, simply because I find it to be quicker for winning. But if you wanted to play it safer, you could switch the two of them. The main reason why it's quicker in this way is because if we switch to 2 of them, we'd be blocking on our blue, which would mean it would be getting less mana overall. But we'll throw that down. One really good thing that enchant can also do is if you have a lot of troops being blocked, you can enchant a last troop, maybe one that's being completely blocked by every other color, and you'll still be able to get it up decently. But right here, we'll take out the blue, get a bunch of kills, and just Dragon Soul the rest of them away, get the max souls, and we're good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much all Dragon Team. And I do have one more team to go show. We actually have a lot of team slots right now. I think I've made about 8 different teams. Some of them I'll probably show a little bit later in the week, and of course we'll be showing a bunch when the new troop comes out tomorrow. There is a new troop for this kingdom coming out for next week's event, which is why you can get it in event keys next week, because the next week is the Silverglade. But right now, there's some very interesting things right now that we can do with the princess. And this is one of my favorite PvP ones to mess around with her. Overall, she's a little bit towards the weaker side, but there are a couple of fun things I'll be showing today or right now, and probably throughout the week that she has, and she will be gaining a lot of interesting purposes as this game progresses. One really interesting thing about her is she is the first troop in the game that can consistently make whatever color you want on the very first turn. All you have to do is set any common troop or guardian or anything that uses only one color, set it in first slot, and then kill it with her, and then boom, you just created 11 mana of whatever that color is. Sacrifice normally is the best one to do, simply because killing a sacrifice will automatically give you 2 attack and 2 magic to all of your allies. And luckily, we got a lot of good starting purple on this board. We'll be able to get a really good cast right there, get up our Fairish Ra. Ideally, right now, we'd want to be able to get a Fairish Ra cast again, which we can. So we'll just throw that right down, start chipping down at his tank, and then boom, we get all that mana. And look at that, first turn, and we're already this far into it as far as damage. And look, we can even kill out the Emperor Corvash from the very first turn with a Fairish Ra gaining us all of our souls on the very first turn. Hey, we could just leave right now from the battle if we wanted to and just claim our souls. Actually, I think you have to lose the battle to claim your souls, but still, we hit max souls and killed her troop on the very first turn. And she has a lot of very unique things that she can do in that regard. And while I do consider her a little bit towards the weaker side, I'll probably be taking that back probably in about a month or two when some weird combos start getting created with her. The 2 probably most popular right now is what I'm using now, and there is a Bombot variant of this, which I'll probably show a little bit later. A Bombot variant of this, which if you end up using her on, or you just end up destroying a brown troop, use Bombot with Black Manacles, and you can get a lot of damage down. A couple people have been telling me to do that. We end up doing it on one of our streams, and I haven't really tested it to see how well it goes in Explore. I did it once, haven't done like several matches in side by side, and that's one of the main reasons why I don't want to show it yet. But I kind of want to see how quick it can actually do compared to my normal team that I normally use, which is Valkyrie, Rowan, Double Siren. So I do want to get like a timed comparison of them before I actually go and show the team in action to see if it actually is quicker on average than the normal one that I normally show you guys for Explore. So I'll get data for that later this week, and we'll see which one of them is indeed quicker on average. Anyways, we can kill another one if we really want to. We could get blue or red. I think I might actually do that and hope that we get it on blue. Okay, very nice. Unfortunately, we are frozen on blue, but that does give us a lot of mana, which is the main thing I wanted to do with that. So now we have our Kristarnex, we have a new tank, and Knights are fairly decent tanks, so that works out pretty nice as well. So we'll just remove some blue, I think, mainly because he has a Valkyrie right now. I don't want him doing anything weird. He also, of course, has a Queen Mab, which will gain extra turns if there's too much blue. Not too worried about him getting extra turns at this point. Of course, it is penalizing us some, but we'll easily be able to kill it out with another Kristarnex. I almost want to kill out our Knight, just get a new Knight there, and kind of go from there. So let's do just that. See if we can get that on brown or purple. We get it on purple. We get the extra turn. We get our Crystallize going, and going pretty well then. We could take some skulls. Not really a need to, though. We'll go for purple again. Probably take another purple after that. and see what that brings. We can easily kill any one trip, and we still get these skulls, so I guess it works out. For some reason, he didn't end up casting his Valkyrie there, though good for us. We don't use red, so it doesn't matter if we take the reds, because we can't be frozen on it since we do not actually use it. And we'll just go and poke at one of them. Let's see. We'll just go and poke down the Queen Mab. And that is pretty much it. Not much you can do at this point to be able to counter us out. So we'll just go probably get the Kristarnex up and kill it out. Of course, another thing that we can do, Kristarnex actually makes a purple summon, which works perfect for this because we can just do that right to our Ferris Ra directly. I probably won't be able to do that in this match because there's no way it's actually going to kill our Griffin Knight, but that is part of the strategy to use with this team as well. Also, Griffin Knight does create those yellows, though, which we can kind of use with the Ferris Ra, though not if it's going to do stuff like that. And let's see. We'll just take that, get our little bit of mana. It's getting very close. Of course, if worse comes to worse. Oh, Enchant will do it. There goes Enchant being useful, getting that last bit of mana that we need. We were a little bit short, but it gives us the last of it, and we'll just do it on yellow and go right for the kill. And there we go. Those are all of the new teams I like using with the new kingdom. Of course, we'll have even more diversity when the new troop comes out tomorrow. There's quite a few combinations that I'd even show here that we can even use our archer. Keep in mind that the archer can be made into a elf. And now that there are more elves, there are some reasons that you may occasionally use an elf team, mainly because it does give that magic bonus. But other than that, that's pretty much the general focus of what this kingdom can do. It's mainly mana oriented. It's really good at actually being able to give troops mana. And there's a lot of fun combinations. We'll definitely be testing more of them in the future, like the princess and some other of the mana generating troops. Enchant in general from the new kingdom, I am not the hugest fan of. Mainly because in many instances with a lot of the current troops that exist, you have to actually waste your turn in order to be able to do it. Right now, the only troop in the entire game that can do Enchant that doesn't waste its turn is a Kristarnex, the new legendary dragon, and you can only do that if it ends up getting taken a purple in a way that you get a extra turn either from a 4x or a cascade or something like that. But anyways, if you guys have any other questions about Gems of War or about the new kingdom in general, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching and have a wonderful day.